What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Daily Fan Racing YouTube channel. I don't think we actually have sorry, forgot to do Gordo's bit. We don't really have a name for this show. This is just kind of a preview show for the 2024 season, kind of get back in the flow of things with Jason, our unretired co-host.
No, still retired. Still retired.
Okay.
Still retired. Like, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to come on here and talk some NASCAR with Ryan, right? It was something we had a lot of fun doing in the past, and I'm retired from doing content, right? That is 100% legit. I don't think I made like a bit too big of a fuss about it on Twitter, but it's just getting to the point where, it's a lot of time doing this content. Ryan knows, and I'm sure, all the other guys out there who do the content knows, like, it's a ton of work putting the spreadsheets together, compiling your data, getting those articles together. It takes a lot of time. I enjoy doing it, right? But it comes to a point where it's like, how much time you're investing into something, right? And then also, it's pretty, there's a lot of, it's a lot of emotional investment into it a weekend as well. Like when you're putting your picks out there for 10,000 people, who's reading your content every week, it's like, there's a lot of stress behind that. Like I don't play for a lot of money, but I find myself tilting my picks quite often, right? Mm-hmm. Like I got to a point, when you do content, like you could have a good week, right? To where you even profit and have a week that would normally leave you happy. But there's one thing on there that you're like, shit, like I miss that guy. And it leaves me feeling like shit, like all day. Like I guess I'm a perfectionist. I don't know what it is. Unless I just smash a slate, at the end of the day, I'm always feeling like shit. So it's like, I'm done with it. Like I'm just done.
I don't blame you.
Out there, right? So yeah. Now
Brett,
go ahead.
Brett always told me, he's like, dude, I'm miserable. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm miserable because there's always going to be something I missed or somehow I didn't do something right. And you're always going to hear about it. It's always negative. And he's like, it's so stressful. And in the beginning, I didn't really understand it because I was like, I'm just going to give picks. But the more you put into it, the more time you put into it, the more, and then the one little thing goes wrong, like it flips you out and it ruins your whole weekend. It literally, it's such a mood swing. And unfortunately I've leaned into this, as a money-making career, but it like part of me is like, man, I wish I can kind of get away to not have that stress or not have that negativity because it really is downer. So completely understand why you're out of the content game, so to speak, but I'm glad you are at least doing this show with me and hanging out and at least having fun talking racing to start the year.
I think it'll be fun I think it'll also be fun to see, like, how the season goes without that pressure put on my picks. Like, I have no pressure behind what I play, right? I think when you're putting out picks and you're putting out content, like there's like, I don't want to miss the guys that other people are on. Like that's how I felt. Like you feel like especially when you're on an island about something, like you feel like an idiot, like you kind of expose yourself. So it's like, I don't know. I'm curious to see how much different I play this year without having to worry about, what anybody else thinks about what I'm fucking playing. So it's going to be, it'll be fun. Yeah. I'll be curious to see, how it goes. And, like I said, still be playing DFS, the GOAT, and Ryan. Thank you guys. Thank you. Yeah. But,
I thought I was the GOAT. What?
Yeah. But I also get to spend, more time with, doing the things that, I enjoy doing, like being outside, and hunting. I want to get a spring gobbler. I haven't gotten a turkey yet, and that happens, that's gonna take a lot of time out of me in the spring. So I don't know, kids are getting older, sports and shit, so it's like,
life,
at some point,
job.
Life, and it's like, job work is getting ever busier. So but yeah, thank everybody out there who's followed my stuff. I'm not going anywhere. We have a little, I mean, as far as like my articles are going away, but y'all still be around. We have an announcement we're gonna be making here at the midway point of the show. Yeah. So a little tease for you guys. But I mentioned, about having, some more time. One thing I was able to do with that time, something I haven't been able to really do in the past is get involved in, watching the new series. Anytime a new series comes out, I feel like I'm the last person watching shit, something that's been out for 3 years and I finally get a chance to catch up. The new NASCAR Full Speed, right? That just came out this week. Have you had a chance to watch any of that? I've had a chance to watch a couple episodes.
Yeah, just finished it. It was, I complained after about an episode and a half, and that's about the exact time it started getting good. So
Okay.
I
I'm
feel like
2 episodes in. Let me see if I can tell you what the complaint is, because I'm 2 episodes in. Let me see if our complaints matched up. Way too much Denny Hamlin.
no, that was fine.
Oh
That was
my God.
fine.
Way too much Denny Hamlin. Does that get better? Tell me that gets better.
Yeah, it gets better. Actually, it
Okay.
really does, especially when he gets eliminated.
Yes.
So they do kind of go away from him and come back when he gets eliminated. But no, my complaints were, one, it felt like they were very much dumbing it down in the first episode. Like I checked it. I think we were 33 minutes into the first episode, and you really didn't see any racing action.
Mm-hmm.
It was talking head, Shannon Spake, talking head, Marty Smith doing some hyperbolic talking,
Mm-hmm.
and it just wasn't getting to any action. And
There's
then they're explaining pit stops. They were explaining this or explaining that, but they weren't getting to the weekly action that we want to see from the drivers, right? These guys getting into each other's head, beating and banging, whatever. They weren't covering any of that, I felt like, in the first episode and a half. And then once they kind of got into that flow, I was like, no, this is what Drive to Survive is. You're seeing the on-track action. You're seeing the guys kind of feud with each other, the things that come up. And I thought that was eventually really well done. It just felt like it took 2 episodes to get there, which, my impatience, I was like, man, this isn't good. And then eventually I was like, no, this is pretty solid. I like it. So I think I'm jaded because I've been around it all, my whole life, and I've seen all this, and all of it's not new. So I can see someone who's unfamiliar really enjoying it. And there was some cool action. Like Ross, I felt like was not in there enough, but the parts that he was in there for was great. Like I was sitting there, I was like, man, I love this guy even more. So you got to see some moments like that made you like the drivers. So I enjoyed that part.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was a lot of instances where, it just was way too much Denny Hamlin for me, right? Like, at least through the first 2 episodes of there, like, it seems like it's all, and I know it's whatever they have access to, like, they're kind of limited to the drivers they probably have access to, right? I think it's kind of silly that I'm 2 episodes in and I haven't seen any Ryan Blaney yet, the guy who ends up winning the championship. We haven't set any stage or any little nugget for that yet. Seems kind of weird. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it just seems like it's an awful lot of Denny freaking Hamlin, man. Like, at least the first 2 episodes. And, like, I've been, like, really up and down with Denny through his career. Like, I've had times where, like, I've really hated the guy, times where I've been a big fan of him even. And, like, just back at, like, I just don't know, man. Like, he's just got this demeanor about him now. And, like, I think it was on full display. I love how fucking 5 minutes into the documentary, like, we cue in on Denny Hamlin. He's in his house, right? And he's acting like normal, regular Joe, right? Like, he wakes up and makes his breakfast for his family, right? This is what I do,
He never makes breakfast, probably.
No, he fucking burnt the shit out of his pancakes, dude. They were black. He melted his spatula. His plastic spatula was melted in his sink. I mean, like this is what that's what you chose to do. Like, you chose to put this persona on, like, your average regular man. You couldn't pull off pancakes, Denny. Like, you couldn't pull off pancakes. Like, just be yourself. Like, you don't have to pretend. And I feel like that's what he's doing a lot of, is pretending, right? I think that's the definition of Denny at this point in his career. Like, I think he was being real a couple years ago. Like, I saw it, but I don't know. I think he's like, feels like he's
always had this like
hate, and I don't think he has to. I don't think you have to lean into that hate. Like, I think you can just, like, still continue to be Denny.
He's always had this. I've called him the smartest stupid person in NASCAR before, because he is smart. Like, he understands, but his ability to articulate and to kind of function struggles sometimes. Like, you see him think like, oh, I should do this, and then he just sucks at it, or he says dumb things, and that's always been the case. And I don't know how to explain it with him, but yeah, he comes across disingenuous sometimes. So I totally get that.
Unauthentic. Yeah, I don't buy a lot of what he sells or what he lays down. NASCAR
So Caleb thinks it's much better than the USA show, which is 100% true. Like, this is levels better. It's definitely gonna at least give something enjoyable for people to watch and take the sport serious. The other issue I had, Bubba Wallace likes to say "fuck" a lot.
Do you have an issue with that? I like to say fuck a lot.
I do too, but I was just sitting there. I was like, dude, you're like always saying that word, right? Like, I felt like, even for someone who cusses a lot, I felt like, man, back it down a little bit.
But at least it looked like he was kind of being real. Like, and a lot of what,
he's real.
A lot of what I think has came across, at least a lot of what it feels like he's came across so far on Full Speed has been authentic, right? And which has been my gripe with Bubba. A lot of times I feel like in his post-race interviews, a lot of time he's not being authentic, I feel like. So it's cool to see that. Like, I feel like that has came across good. So that's nice to see.
Speaking of authentic, I know you haven't gotten to the Ross stuff in the show, and it's not a lot, but it's good. We haven't had anyone win since Ross won at Phoenix. So we're getting into a new year. We're still off the back of Ross Chastain being our latest winner, which is awesome. What are your thoughts?
Days. 95 days. 95 days it has been since somebody not named Ross Chastain has won in the NASCAR Cup Series, right? So, like, just living a dream, as a Ross Chastain fan. It's nice to see him, like you said, Phoenix was awesome for him, right? It sucks that he wins and it's like really overshadowed. I think everybody forgets. I think the bummer for me, from my perspective as a Ross Chastain fan, is there's 2 fucking races he decides to win last year. I had 0 of the guy in fantasy. So, like, I'm just terrible at predicting when Ross Chastain is going to be good. So, it's what do you think he's going to do this year? Do you think we're going to see a reinvigorated Ross Chastain? You think we're going to see like him back to the roots Ross Chastain, or we're going to see him a little bit, more subdued? What are we going to see?
I think what he covers it in the show. He's like, look at my last 2 races. I got into stuff being aggressive. I haven't changed. You're just, the interpretation of what I'm doing has changed, but I've still been aggressive and stupid. And so I think he's going to keep being himself. I love, like, Blaney, they focus on Blaney in the last race because he's the championship winner, but you see the Ross battle where Blaney's just pissed off at him. And the thing I always love with Ross is, they always complain about him mirror blocking or mirror driving, but he's quick while doing it. It's not like he's screwing up his lap time. It's not like the rest of the pack are like, dude, he's so good. My issue is going to be I'm worried about the Chevys with the aero changes with Ford and Toyota. We got new bodies there for Ford and Toyota. I think there could be a swing towards those manufacturers having a little bit more of an advantage. And from
Toyota, even more of an advantage? Man, Toyota's already been fucking
fast. I don't know. They, first 2 years, Hamlin mentioned that they felt like they had some aero deficiencies. I don't know if it's true or not. They always like to complain to try to get more, right? I mean, that's their job, but it could be that Chevy's the worst of the 3. And with Ross maybe being with the second tier team, step down from Hendrick, I am a little worried that even on tracks that Chevy shows up and are good at, that maybe he's going to be behind Larson, behind some of those guys. And I don't know if it's going to be a great year for him, honestly. I mean, I hate to be negative, but that's kind of where my head is. I don't know what you think about the aero changes or whatnot.
I legitimately, like I'm retired, so I really haven't done much research into any of that. But like, it just seems like, Chevy always rolls out of the gate looking strong, right? I mean, Chevy, it seems like every year when we're, in these cooler months to start the season, it's always Chevy. Like HMS, Hendricks is always pretty dominant at the beginning of the year. And, when we get into the summer months is when we see Pontiac. I mean, Pontiac, look at that, me old school Toyota show. Yeah. Old school Joe Gibbs racing.
You okay? You're retired, but not senile.
I'm retired. I'm allowed to start talking like a boomer, right? And start saying shit like Pontiac. But yeah, so what else are you looking forward to this season? Is there anything, I know you mentioned about, the aero package changes. So I'm
excited for some of the schedule changes. Like, I like when there's new stuff to look forward to. I'm happy, like, the Brickyard's back, like Brickyard 400, yes. Traditional oval race there. I think that's going to be really good with this car, as good as it possibly can be with that track. I think Iowa may be a difficult race to watch. I think it'll be Richmond-esque, like a lot of green flag laps and things like that. But it's still a new race. It's still something different, which I think will be cool. I'm interested to see Chicago without rain. Maybe we get see how that race plays out. So I'm kind of interested in the new races. I think we're down like 5 road course races.
Yes.
So does that make you happy?
Yes, that makes me very happy, man. I'm so glad that we're down to 5. I mean, hopefully, we keep the string. We're at 7. We were at 6. We're at 5. Hopefully, it means 5 more years we'll have these motherfuckers completely off the schedule, and we can be
no.
We can be back. You can keep Chicago. Do you want to keep your Chicago? Do you want to keep Chicago so that way we can act like we're I'll keep Sonoma. You know what? I think I can make a case for going to Indy twice and just doing the Indy road course again. That one's fun. I'm fine with the Indy road course, but yeah, 2, 3. I think once we get back to that point, I'm going to be happy. So not only did we lose some road course races, we've also lost the Bristol dirt race. Right. So yes, I know you're very sad about that. That's something that you are probably cried long nights into your pillow over, right?
Nope, not upset at all. That is the best thing that happened the entire year.
Yeah, it's gonna be great to see 2 concrete races at Bristol this year.
I think the Bristol Dirt Race in terms of entertainment is
Might be too much still. 3.
I think the Bristol race in terms of entertainment with dirt was fine. I get that. It's just not what the series is.
It was a good try, right?
Yeah,
I think it was a
wasn't
good
bad.
attempt.
It wasn't bad.
I applaud NASCAR for trying it, right? They thought outside the box. We asked. I think fans asked for it. We wanted to see something unique. I would have liked to see. We wanted to see them on dirt. I think I wanted to see on dirt. I would have much rather seen them go to Eldora, right, and do it at a place like that than throw dirt on a track like Bristol. That's freaking amazing. But they tried it. I don't think NASCAR on dirt is officially done. I think they can do it again. I would do it as an exhibition. I think it would make great as an all-star race. I think it would be great as
that would be fun. Yes,
as a Busch Clash. I think it would be great as something like that. I think I've said this. I think you could even do something fun and do retro cars. Do old cars. From the 2000s, or even you can go back even further. The old stock cars from back in the day, and just make it just a fun race, and I think that would be great. But yeah, it should have never been a points race. We should have never been fucking paying out points being on dirt. Looking back on it, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was the wrong move. I'm glad it's gone. I'm glad the oddity's gone, and we can get back to real racing now. From a Bristol standpoint, there shouldn't be 2 Bristol concrete races either.
What?
There's no.
Have you not seen Bristol the last 2 years?
There is
great
no
races.
need for any track to have 2 races,
Okay.
let alone one. If you took away the spring race, and keep in mind, I've been to a lot of Bristol races because I'm within 3 hours. That's obviously one of the closer tracks, and I've been there a bunch. But if you took away that race, and there's one Bristol event a year, one time you can win a sword, one time you can go there as a fan, it would sell out 160,000 seats. There would be so much more hype around it. But I can go in March, I can go in August. If I don't go in August, hey, it's going to be back there in 6 months again, and then it just feels like a cycle where I don't miss it, if that makes sense. And then the spring race to me can be boring in general.
If you're taking away a Bristol race, you're shortening the season. Right? You're shortening the season if you're taking away the Bristol.
That's fine too.
Because you got to get rid of a Richmond race, you got to get rid of a Phoenix race, you got to get rid of all these shit, all the double races, right? Except for Daytona. I'd go Daytona twice.
Do you if I told you right now, we just added Iowa, we can go to Montreal. I know you don't like road courses, but we go to Montreal, do a cool race there. We could add Chicagoland back, which is, by the way, Chicagoland right now with this car would be
great.
It'd be amazing. There are ovals out there we can go and we can do races at, and they don't choose to do it. So I don't feel like you'd have to eliminate races. Maybe you can eliminate a couple, but I just feel like just like we didn't need to see Pocono twice, we didn't need to see New Hampshire twice, we don't need to see Richmond twice at all. That. Oh.
I don't think we need to see Richmond once anymore, to be honest.
I want to go that far, but
that's the worst race on
I
the schedule.
think you can do Richmond things.
The worst race on the schedule, dude.
To make that is sorry. To make everything
Michigan, but a short track.
But I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about kind of leading into the season, or do you want to get to your big announcement?
Well, yeah, I guess you've already teased the public, so we cannot, go ahead and go with the announcement here. So yeah, it's not, I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm retiring from NASCAR DFS, right? Doing content, right? Not kind of. I am not doing any research, right? I am not going to be doing my spreadsheets. I'm not going to be writing articles, right? I'm still going to be playing NASCAR DFS, though. And I'd like to, be somewhat educated at the NASCAR DFS, when I happen to lift up my phone to make lineups on Sunday mornings. So what we're going to do is I am going to do a show on the Daily Fan Racing channel where I'm going to bring on this channel, and it's going to be done on race day for, I think we've picked out 18 races through the season, Larkin, where I'm going to bring Larkin on, and Larkin is going to answer all my questions for the NASCAR DFS slate and get me and you guys set up for success for the slate, and it's going to be what, all free, right? Because
Yep.
I would never put anything behind a paywall. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to Ryan Larkin setting me up for success this year, and I don't have to do. I can hunt, I can fish, I can watch all the Netflix series I want. I can, me and my kids can have all kinds of fun, and Larkin's going to do all the work, and he's going to get us all set up. I'm just going to ask questions that get us set up on the right path.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where, we did the Thursday show for a couple of years, and it was hard to do anything that I felt like was significant. It was hard to predict what was going to happen before you ever saw practice or before you did anything. And it just, to me, it kind of got monotonous on just conjecture. Like, I don't like making things up. I like being factual as much as I can. And so the Thursday show, it was fun, but I didn't think it added the type of content we needed out there. And I don't have free stuff. Like, I'm very much behind a paywall. I want to maximize that for the people that do sub. I want to give them the best content possible, and I want it to be special. Like, you go into Costco, you see good stuff in there, but you have to pay to get in, right? And so it was always about striking that balance. But I think we can add this show and keep that balance there, but also reach more people, have more fun with it. One of the things I'm really pushing this year is for me to have more fun. I'm diving into doing more work than I was last year. So I need to have more fun with this, hang out with you, Jason, as part of it. And so I love the idea. We're going to do 18 races. We're going to do – so Jason's on the Mark Martin tour. If you remember back in the day, Mark Martin was like, I'm retired. And then he came back and ran half the races. So we're doing the Mark Martin thing with Jason. He's going to be with us. We're picking big races. We're not going to do random Richmond races in April. We're not going to do races that Jason doesn't want to do. No. So there's one road course race that we're going to do. But the majority of races that you kind of are going to look forward to or that are enjoyable, we're going to be on here Sunday mornings breaking down the slates from a DFS perspective. Obviously, I'll have done all the work and have some good info, and then Jason will sit here and ask questions. He will literally just be a question asker, but I think it'll be fun. Hopefully, we can get a bunch of people to tune in and make things great. So definitely subscribe to the channel. So that way you're here for that, and you know when the videos pop up, and help support the show. The more people we get to watch it, the more people that subscribe, the more likely we are to make sure we keep doing it, and then maybe expound upon it and do more. So, Mark Martin did come back to run for HMS those couple of years. So we'll see how retired Jason really is.
Yeah, this is all like, just me being extremely selfish, right? Because I basically went through, like I said, I went through the schedule. It's like, okay, I'll do this one, I'll do this one, I'll do this one. It's all the races I want to talk about, all the races that I have fun with, right? And it's I don't have to do shit, and Brian's gonna win me money. So like,
hopefully
this is perfect for me, right? So I get to still perform, hopefully, at a pretty high click at NASCAR DFS, and I get all my time back, and you guys can get your time back too, right? If you sign up for DailyFanRacing. Look at that little plug. So I'm going to go ahead and take over, hosting opportunity. We're going to give these guys a little preview of, of what kind of content we can have, So I've developed this segment that we're going to go to, and we're going to go through, we're going to go through the driver changes that have happened so far this year, right?
All right.
Going into this season, a lot of changes. We have the silly season every year. We got to figure out who's landed where, what guys we like where they're at, what guys maybe we don't like where they're at. So we're going to go through all those changes, right? And I want you to tell me if you think this is a forward move, a backward move, or if you think it's a neutral move, right? You can give me a few excerpts if you want about each thing. We can kind of run through these hopefully pretty quickly, right?
Sounds good.
First one, Haley to Rick Ware Racing. What do you think?
I think it's kind of lateral, and I don't think people will necessarily see that on paper. Like, they'll think from Colleague to Rick Ware is lateral. Not every place is meant for you, right? And you're not always going to be at home with the team. You're not always going to reach your maximum. You would say, we see LaJoy with Spire. It took some years, but they are at a much more competitive place, and that's his home. We saw that with Eric Jones. He got dumped by Gibbs. He goes to Petty, and he's like, I love this place. Or I'm sorry, Legacy Motor Club now. But he's like, I love this place. This feels like home. And they go out there and win the Southern 500. And sometimes even going a step backwards, quote unquote, in equipment or with a team can be better for you. And, Rick Ware now has that alliance with Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. So the hope is that obviously at least this Haley team is going to get more competitive, right? Instead of being a 30th place car, the hope is that he's a 25th place car. And if I look back at last year, he was a 25th place car. So I don't feel like it's that big of a drop back. I do think long-term it has the potential for Haley to do well. And if he's in that Keselowski world and he does do well, then maybe there's eventually a move over to Roush Fenway that, eventually would help him out long-term in his career and better suit him. So for the year, I think he'll run roughly about the same, maybe slightly down, but not a huge difference because I didn't think the college cars were very good last year in general. So
I buy that, right? I buy it, right? I think you see his average finish last year was around 21st, right? So that's, I think JJ Yeley probably beat him a few times in a Rick Ware car, right? So, yeah. I mean, Colleague, they've had their moments. They've been good in moments, but they've also been shit. Obviously, their highs have been a lot higher than Rick Ware Racing highs have been, but, on a given week, Justin Haley could Yeley could show up and beat Justin Haley in that equipment. Yep. So, yeah. I would probably put a little bit further back, but, yeah, lateral, I can see that. I've retired. I'm not giving my picks. Sorry. Sorry, old habits do die. Oh, we didn't even say the name of our freaking podcast. Like we've missed like the whole bit, the whole best part about the podcast. Like, God, we just failed miserably at that. Name of the podcast is How to Retire from NASCAR DFS. Right, that was the whole shtick. Right? God, can we redo this?
Nope.
It's okay.
Nope.
It's okay. We'll record something else and I'll send it.
But we'll do a nice tweet with the graphic and everything, and it'll make a lot more sense. How to retire from NASCAR DFS, a podcast about NASCAR DFS. It makes total sense, and we'll explain more throughout the year.
God, man, I failed miserably at my first freaking thing at being a host. Good God.
Okay. That's why you're retired.
Gregson to Stewart Haas Racing, right? So this is, kind of common theme in NASCAR, right? You do something appropriate, you lose your job, and you get another job that
you get a better job.
Take a step forward, right? So what do you think?
You get a better job.
Is it a forward, backward, or lateral for Gregson?
Hold on. Is something wrong with my hair? Like what?
What'd you do to your hair, man?
I don't know. Like I just do that.
I mean, it looks like you didn't comb it.
No, I've never combed my hair in my life. I do not have the energy to comb my hair. Anyways, I just saw that. I was like, what's wrong with my hair? Anyways, how do you fall? Well, okay, Stewart Haas kind of sucked last year. Last 2 years. So I don't know if he really moved forward. I would say
especially when you consider like they got Toyota now, right? 42.
Oh God, yeah. I think Legacy Motor Club is going to be strong this year. I can't wait to talk about those guys in a second. But yeah, Gregson went from sitting on his couch to Stewart Haas Racing, so I guess that's a forward move.
Let's say from the 42 to Stewart Haas.
I think from 2023.
No, 42. From where if he was still in the 42 to start 2024.
Oh, this is backwards. This is backwards. I think those cars jumping on the Toyota bandwagon are going to be strong, and I think he went from a team that's going to be running top 15 every week to a team that's going to run 25th.
That's the answer I was looking for. Is I wanted you to say that the 42 is going to be a better car. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. And like Gregson is not a talented enough driver to. He's not good enough. All right. And I don't understand. Well, I know how he got this right, but fundamentally he shouldn't have it because he's not good enough. He's shown he's not good enough. And
he won 9 races in one season.
Who'd he beat?
In the Xfinity Series.
Who'd he beat? Come on, there's 4 cars in the Xfinity Series worth a damn, and he won all those races in 2021. JRM had a rear end housing advantage. Like, what are we talking about? They literally made a rule so JRM couldn't be that fast the next year. Congratulations, you had the fastest car and you won, and you beat Justin Allgaier. There's a reason he's not in Cup either. Like, sorry. Anyways, Noah Gragson went backwards. he went backwards the second he liked that post, and then he went even backwards in terms of equipment. But Stuart Haas is going to struggle. They were bad last year. I think so I created a video that I never posted because I'm super nervous about anything I put out there. But Ryan Preece is someone I actually think is going to have a better year. I think he's someone we're going to be able to target in terms of DFS throughout the year. I think Ryan Preece had 2 top 10s last year. That's freaking wild. Like, you can backdoor into more top 10s than that just by getting lucky. So
Harrison Burton probably had more top 10s than that.
Yeah, like the idea that you only have 2 top 10s in the Stuart Haas car, that was not good from Ryan Preece. And across the board, they weren't good. Harvick was good. The rest of them weren't. So now I don't like Gregson's outlook. I think he's going to be very bad this year. And from an equipment standpoint, if he was in the 42, he'd be much better off this season.
Now, I know, like, obviously, like, we know Stuart Haas Racing is great at short flat tracks, so it's not going to surprise most people. Well, it probably not going to surprise us, but I think what might surprise the public, though, is, like, I do anticipate Stuart Haas Racing showing up being competitive at the Busch Clash. Like,
Were they good at short flat tracks? Or is that just drivers? Like, you have Kevin Harvick, who's great, Ryan Preece, who's a short track guy, Eric Almirola.
I don't know. Right? I assume. Right? Yeah. I don't know. I'm just meaning, like, I think they might. Like, situational. With guys like, but I think you got a guy like Barry, and you still have Preece there. That's what I mean. I think they can show up and be competitive.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the Busch Clash, right?
Oh, speaking of Barry.
Yeah, this next guy here, right, is the number 4, right? Is this a forward, lateral, or backward move for the number 4 going to Josh Berry?
This is as backwards as you can get. This is as backwards as you can get. So I think Kevin Harvick's one of the top 10 drivers of all time. Like, I think he's that good. He is in the top 10 of all time. I have him challenging for the top 5. Now you're going to a driver who doesn't have any natural speed. Josh Berry doesn't have pure pace. He's not a pace guy. He's a guy that beats you over 200 laps, right? He beats you on the long run. He's great at taking care of his tires. They're going to struggle. They're already struggling from speed equipment-wise, right? They don't have the performance in the cars. Now you got a guy who's not going to be able to get up and wheel the car. So I think the 4 team's going to struggle a lot. I think Barry's going to struggle a lot. I think he'll have his moments. Like, we see it with Austin Dillon, where it's like Austin Dillon doesn't have that pure speed. Give him a track like Richmond or Homestead where it's long green flag runs and he can pace it out over, a 50 lap, 70 lap run, depending on what it is. He's going to look decent and he gets good performances. I think Barry will have that type of like, oh, wow.
Aren't those the same kind of like tracks and performances that Harvick was good at, though, too? I'm not saying like Barry's.
Yeah, but Harvick would win.
Right.
Harvick would win. Like, that's
we don't know what Barry's going to do. Barry hasn't had his shot.
He's not going to win. Josh Berry.
You think he
never win a couple?
Zero wins? You think 0 wins? Right?
No wins from Josh Berry. I don't think he's good enough. Which is, he can luck into a Talladega win just as much as the next guy. Yes, he can. We saw.
What about his races in the 9 car? Like, he had some great performances in the 9 car.
What performances in the 9 car? They took no tires and he held on the second one race. Congratulations.
He had better finishes than that, didn't he?
He didn't have speed, man. He had one good performance. I think it was Richmond. I don't remember what it was, but it was a tire strategy call. Like, that's it. And he'll be decent at Richmond. He'll be decent at Darlington. Yes, he will have the long run speed because he's good at that style of racing. He is not a pure speed guy in a series that right now requires you being elite on speed. Like, the cars are so close and track position matters so much. That qualifying matters so much on down the list. He's going to struggle. I just think he's going to have a hard time. And obviously from Harvick, that's a huge step backwards. But I think Barry's going to be pretty bad, honestly. I don't think it's going to be good.
10th at Phoenix in the 9, 2nd at Richmond in the 9. So those are the 2 short flats that he raced on in the 9. And
Richmond, he stayed out long, got a caution.
I'm just saying those are what the numbers
That's
say.
Fair.
That's
also the best car on the grid. It's
Hendrick. What's that say about Chase Elliott?
Don't break your leg in the snowboarding accident.
No, I mean, like, he didn't look like he had the best car down in the playoff. Okay. Let's go to the next. Moving on, the number 31 car, right? Went to Hemrick from Haley. Is that a step forward or backward for that car?
Lateral. It's the same driver. It's the same driver, not really extremely talented, competent enough to go somewhat quick, but not really going to get you great results unless it's pit strategy wise. It's basically the same type driver, same type performances. It definitely doesn't bring any excitement for me. So meh.
All right. Not much time on that one. Then let's go to the number 42 car, the car we already spoke about. You know, you expect big things out of that. So is it a step forward, lateral, or backwards going to John Hunter Nemechek over Gregson?
So driver-wise, this is a massive step up. Talent-wise, big step up. I think they're getting a much better driver in John Hunter Nemechek. A little bit, well, geez, Gregson was so erratic. It's hard to say this. John Hunter Nemechek is fast, but he makes mistakes, right? Like he does some dumb stuff sometimes. But he's going to give them a lot of upside in terms of races. Like you're going to look up, you're like, how the hell is he ninth, or how is he seventh? Or like he's going to have that type of upside that Gregson never had. So for the team, it's a huge increase in terms of talent. But the biggest thing is the Toyota relationship. I mean, they were, all reports, a third-tier Chevy team that was in a lame duck season because they announced they were going to Toyota really early. They weren't getting help before. They weren't getting help because they were a third-tier team, and then they're basically shut out from Chevy. Every team that's ever aligned with Toyota has been quick. Furniture Rodeo was an affiliation with JGR. So was the 95 when they switched to Toyotas. But we saw when Toyotas had a massive advantage in 2019, Matt DiBenedetto was incredibly quick, right? So information sharing has been pretty good within the Toyota camp, and I think that continues. I think you'll see that trickle over to those cars, and I think they're going to go from 15th to 20th place cars to challenging for lots of top 10s and top 5s. And, Eric Jones is probably my biggest driver to watch this year. He had an okay year last year, but I think it was 7 top 10s or something. I think he doubles it. I think he ends up 14, 15 top 10s. I think he's in the playoffs, and I think he has the opportunity to win a race. So I really like Eric Jones, and I think John Hunter will be a step behind, but he'll also have good results and do a lot better for them than Gregson ever did.
Yeah, I like that take on those cars. I love both those guys. I agree with everything you're saying about Nemechek. They're definitely going to be a guy who I'm going to be looking to probably jam in early in the season, hopefully, before the masses get on them, right? So I did see
my hair.
I saw DraftKings has given us John Hunter Nemechek at 6,500 for the Clash. So I know salary doesn't mean anything for the Clash, but you can get a Toyota at 6,500 is pretty freaking good. So hopefully DraftKings does that for a little bit to start the season.
Yep.
Next one here, number 77 car for Spire Racing is now Carson Hocevar from Ty Dillon. Is that a step up in driver talent in that car?
I don't know, Jason. What do you think?
I don't know. Yeah, it definitely is, right?
This is a massive step up. This is another driver, Ty Dillon. I like Ty in general. I don't think he's as bad as it puts off, but I've been touting Carson Hocevar since he was 17. I've known this was the guy. This has been the guy I've put my chips in and said he's going to be amazing, and he's delivered on that now. We've seen it. He's won truck races. He's delivered an Xfinity car when he's driven that. When he jumped in to the 42 for Gregson, all of a sudden it started running 15th instead of 25th. He's that much more of a driver than those guys. Do I know if he's William Byron or Kyle? No, I don't know if that'll ever be the case. Do I think he's a potential race winner at the Cup level? Yes. Do I think he's in that tier where it's his career could be he is a champion contender or a potential just race winner, 1-2 races here and there? Yes. He's much better than Gregson. He's much better than Ty Dillon. This is a huge improvement for Spire. And I look forward to how this car runs because this 77 was a second-tier team. The 7 got good equipment. They got good motors. Ty Dillon didn't get good motors. He wasn't on the main motor program. The cars weren't as good. I'm curious to see how much Hocevar gets in terms of equipment.
I don't think you get a guy talent like Carson Hocevar without
if you're not putting more into him, right?
I would think. What are your expectations? What are your expectations for him this year? What do you think is realistic to think as far as do you think he's going to land some top 10s this year?
He's gonna finish 25th in points. He's gonna finish 25th in points. You're gonna look at it and be like, he was whatever. But he'll have those moments, kind of like at Gateway when he showed up and jumped in the car and he's like, how the hell is he in Corey LaJoie's car and just driving through the field when no one can pass here? And why is he top 15? And you're going to see those moments from him. You're going to see those flashes, but then you're going to see the wrecks and you're going to see the rookie mistakes and whatnot because he's incredibly young. But you're going to be more understanding of okay, his upside's good because you can see him doing it on track, but you might not see the results, which will suck. But from DFS perspective, I think he's going to be a cheap option. that
value in that
that
car.
gives you a lot of upside. He's going to have huge spikes. He's going to finish 14th on a week, and you're like, well, that was the nuts. I needed him, and then he's going to crash out and kill half your lineups, and you're going to hate him, right? It's going to be that type of season with him. But the upsides will take down tournaments, and the floors will kill you. So I'm really looking forward to stressing over Carson Hocevar.
Who gets more top 10s this year, Josh Berry or Carson Hocevar?
That's actually a difficult question for me. I really don't know. I'm going to lean Berry just because I do want to give Stewart Haas a little bit more credit. That I want to believe that they'll have better cars than Spire will. I want to believe that. But I think Hocevar is a better talent. So I think there's opportunity for Carson to outperform Berry on occasion. But I think the problem with Hocevar styles, he's going to crash out a lot. He's going to make mistakes. Berry's not going to make those mistakes. He's just going to be smooth and solid. And some days he's going to wind up 10th, and some days he's going to wind up 19th, and everywhere in between every week. And yeah, he'll finish 21st in points because he's there every week, whereas Carson's going to wreck out and spike. And so I'll go Berry, but not by a lot. I think it's close.
All right, so these next few guys here, they didn't exactly take over, for anybody, or there's not a new ride. These are new rides, or kind of guys in like a unique new situation. Just want to get your thoughts, briefly on what you think about these changes here. So we've talked about, the 77 car Hocevar. So Spire doesn't only have 2 cars in the field this year. They're going to have 3, right? So what are your thoughts on Zane Smith in the 71?
Again, this is like, man, so Zane Smith is a Trackhouse driver. He's not a Spire driver. He's a Trackhouse contracted driver. And so you're sitting there, you're like, okay, is he getting a Trackhouse prepared car? Are they giving them the funding to at least build competent? Like, what level will that third team within the Spire building be? And so I think that's going to be an interesting.
So it's not a charter car, right? It's an open car. It is charter? Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's Spire owns the charter, and they're leasing the driver from Trackhouse. So it's an interesting dichotomy. They're expanding from essentially 1 car and then a B car with Ty Dillon to 3 what are supposed to be competent, legitimate cars. And so I'm nervous for what Zane Smith is going to have. I don't know if he's going to have a good enough car to really compete and show his speed, but it's really about probably getting him prepped for a Trackhouse car next year, right? Like, Trackhouse has got their hands on Shane Van Gisbergen. They got Zane Smith. They're trying to get young talent and build. It seems like they want to be a 3-car team. Seems like they probably want Shane in 1 car, Zane in the other, with Ross being the head of the group. So I think it's a bit of a lame duck season for Zane. I think it's really just make sure you learn the car, make sure you learn how cup races go, and don't look too bad, honestly. But we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to see him. I think the 71's a cool number. It's nice to have like a new number. Like, I like newness, like just anything new. So 71's cool. I think he'll be pretty mediocre. Like, I think Carson out races him this year. I think Carson will be better overall.
That was going to be my next question. So you liked more Carson or? Yeah,
I like Carson better, but I think in the same vein, Carson's going to make more mistakes. Zane will be more consistent. So I think you're going to look at Carson and be like, yeah, I know he's got more speed, and then not tearing up equipment and being safer is going to be Zane, right? So I think he'll be fine. I think it'll just be kind of meh. One of those guys where it's like, okay, he's 26, which isn't a bad thing. It's just that's the situation we're in now, where the field's so deep. We're talking about the 30th best car being Zane Smith now. Like the field's deep. We got a lot of good equipment and stuff. So I think if Zane Smith has top 25 points year and has some top 15s, top 10s, it'll be solid.
Like, how awesome is it for the sport though that we're sitting here talking about guys like Carson Hocevar and Zane Smith, and even Noah Gragson, for example, like in the Cup Series now. Like, these are going to be regular guys in the series for 2024. It's a lot of good personalities there. I feel like a lot of new young blood for the sport.
Young blood, fresh faces,
new teams, like fresh teams, like fresh blood, fresh money. It's all good. It's good stuff. Not so new blood though. This next guy, Kaz Grala, is going to do some part-time work in the number 15 car this year. I know we talked Rickware Racing, right? So, how do you think about this car, the 15? I know we saw, Yaley get in there and do some things last year. Are you going to be interested in much of Grala?
This will be the worst car probably in NASCAR. I mean, when you look at the owner's points at the end of the year, this will probably be the back marker.
So they haven't. You don't anticipate. We'll never play in this guy unless it's a super speedway.
I don't necessarily agree with that though. It's so fundamentally we lost BJ McLeod's team, although they're going to run select races. We lost BJ McLeod's team. Rick Ware Racing. We're talking about Haley's team's going to be better than they have been. They're investing more into that team, so that car, the 51, is going to be better. The 77 is going to be better because Hocevar in terms of talent is just better, and then we think they're going to have better equipment. So when you look at what's been like the back 5 teams, there's only one left, and it's this 15. So it's kind of just process of elimination. They're the worst team, but that probably means they qualify 35th every week. And then they're probably going to be the cheapest driver available to us. And as we've seen with this new car, we're wrecking a lot more than we have been with this car. It's harder to drive. We see it like Charlotte. It's like 15 cautions one year, 17 the next. Like lots of crashes do happen. And I do think we have the ability to have Kaz Grala, who's a solid driver, just run around there and collect 10 place differential points, finish 24th, and be a guy that rounds out your lineups that gives you those top end dominators. So I don't know if he's a DFS fade from that perspective. Now, on the flip side, you may also get Zane Smith starting one position ahead of him in a better car, and you may trust him more. But I think just the depth of this series now so much better. Our back 5 drivers are really Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar, and Justin Haley with Kaz Grala and then whoever's in the 16 on a given week type deal sometimes. So and then you got Cody Ware, who's back, of course, which we can talk about or not. I don't care, but
I didn't put him on my list. So
yeah, screw him. He sucks. So Cody Ware, I'm fine fading, but he'll again. You get enough cautions, enough crashes out, guys crash out.
Yeah, to your point, you mentioned that you might start 35th, but the field is deeper now, right? Like we're gonna have 41 cars. We're gonna have 41 cars at the 500, right? We're gonna have 41 cars starting the 500. So like, we're gonna see weeks like that through the season where you have 40, 41 cars instead of 38, 36 showing up, right? So I mean, that's gonna be even a guy starting 41st now is even more valuable, right? Than a guy if he was starting 36, right? So that's
yeah, exactly. So if we end up with we know that there's going to be like Project 91 cars. We expect there to be RFK is going to run some extra cars in some races, probably mainly speedways or some road courses, but they're going to run some extra cars. BJ McLeod's going to show up occasionally as an open car. We're going to see more open cars, right? Which is going to expand that field more. So there's a chance that Kaz Grala is starting 39 some weeks instead of just being 36. And that does give them even more quote unquote value.
Safer see it floor. Yeah, too.
Yeah. So it's an interesting time. I mean, I do think the 15 is going to be the worst quote unquote car. I think they'll be last in driver standing or owners points. But I don't know. It's cool to have Kaz. A lot of people like Kaz Grala. I don't mind him. He's fine. I don't think he's a great driver or anything, but he's nice enough and good enough to be in that car and kind of go around every Sunday.
It's not Matt DiBenedetto, right? I mean, it could be him.
Man, I heard it was Colleague that he had a deal with Colleague and it fell through. That sucks. I think that would have been a good place for him. That would have made sense.
Is this next guy the guy who ended up landing the Colleague job here? We're going to talk about Josh Williams.
I guess it's Josh
Williams. Like I feel like this was out of fucking nowhere to me. Like I didn't see this coming at all.
He had the most money of anyone who had money left, I guess. But it's really cool for Josh Williams, obviously, in the Xfinity Series full-time with Colleague. He's put it around in 30th place equipment or 25th place equipment. He's been in the mid-tier to back marker stuff his whole career. Josh Williams was a really good short track racer, like lots of good runs. And so it's cool for him to get a break. I don't think he's going to be exceptional in Xfinity car. I think he's going to be pretty average, but I think he's Daniel Hemrick, right? Like, I think he's that low. It's like, oh, cool, he's in the top 5. And then for the most part, he's going to run 12th, which isn't a bad thing for him. But he is
if he runs 12th, that would be great for Josh Williams.
Yeah.
If he runs 12th, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think he's going to consistently run like 12th. He'll be like the last of the top tier cars, right? But
run like
getting to run the 16 part-time is cool. We're going to have Shane Van Gisbergen in that car for 7 races, I believe. I'm sure AJ will run it some. I'm sure, they'll kind of break that up between all their drivers and things like that. But it's cool. It's cool that Josh is going to get some cup races in a competitive car. He did it with BJ some last year, I think. Maybe over the last 2 years, he ran a race or two. But in the 16 car, it's good equipment. I think if he gets opportunity at like a speedway or something, he can have a fun race and compete for the first time in his career, which is nice. So from that aspect, it's cool. I'm excited for Shane Van Gisbergen to get in that car on the road courses. I think that's going to be really cool to see as he progresses. He's got a killer year lined up, so I'm excited for that. So that 16 part-time deal is going to be fun. Like I think that'll be a fun car to watch with different drivers, and literally, hopefully, they can continue winning here and there, get a race or two like they have the last few years.
Yeah, if nothing else, that Josh Williams is going to at least be a fun personality to have at the racetrack.
Yeah.
He'll be a great interview pre-race. He'll be a great interview when he wrecks out. He's a good personality. So again, sports in a good spot right now. I feel like as far as the personalities we got here. Do you one more here was not on the list, so I'm throwing you a curveball here, right? So the Fox commentating booth, right? Is it a forward, backward, or lateral move adding with the addition of Kevin Harvick to the booth?
It's a forward move. Kevin Harvick's really good.
Too bad they couldn't have kicked out Clint Boyer.
Too bad they couldn't have kicked out Mike Joy. Harvick's good. Harvick's good. He's professional. He takes it serious. He's the smartest guy in probably any room he's ever in, right? Dude, the Fox booth has been horrific for years. It just has. And, last year you would watch guys wreck and slam the inside wall, and they would talk basically like how we're talking right now in terms of excitement, with a guy smashing his front end to a wall. And
man, I was watching, actually before this show, I was watching it was a YouTube compilation of the last 20 finishes of the Daytona 500, right? And once you get to that 2006, 2007, 2008, and you get Larry Mack and DW, just going back to those days, them guys announcing, they're excited.
They annoy me, but at least they seem like they care.
They were listen to it now is so refreshing though. Listen to it now, how excited Larry Mack was, at some of those finishes for the 500. It's great,
Harvick will be really good. Harvick will be good.
Clint Boyer up there acting like an idiot. I loved Clint when he first got up there, right? He was just a big, regular, normal guy up there, but now he's just leaning into this, I got to be the dumb idiot all the time and say the dumb.
That's a Fox thing, man. That's a Fox thing. They're like, coach, act as stupid as you can.
What's that going to happen to Kevin? What did happen to Kevin?
No, Kevin won't do that crap. Kevin will look at him like, shut up. I'm not doing that. No, Kevin's the savior. I think Kevin Harvick's the savior of the Fox broadcast. He's the Messiah.
Well, I hope you're all right. I hope they can put a muzzle on a couple of other guys on.
Yeah, I think eventually we'll get to a point where Harvick's the main guy. I think he'll be the play-by-play announcer one day. Boyer may or may not say. I don't know. I think we'll eventually get to the point though where we have some good, competent people in there who take it seriously and treat it right. And that's my hope, anyways. Because right now we haven't had that. NBC does that, and that's why it's such a 180 once you get to that later part of the season. But with the truck series, truck commentary has been awful. It's horrific, and then you get the same thing with the Cup stuff. It's just if you treat that more seriously, people will take the sport more seriously, and they'll watch more. So hopefully Harvick does that.
Yeah, don't we having some NASCAR races on streaming on I don't know, some stupid thing this year, or is that?
Yeah, God, I don't ask me. I didn't pay attention. I'm gonna look the week up. We have Amazon. Do we have Amazon and TV or TNT are back? I don't even know. I don't care.
That'd be a curious broadcast.
I grew up watching on TNN one week, CBS the next week. I don't
USA, right? Was it on USA?
I care. I'm gonna watch the race. I'll look for it the week of. I need to figure it out on my own. If you're too lazy, so what? But hopefully, even though NASCAR's putting their hands even more on the product, with the new Xfinity TV deal being on the CW, NASCAR themselves is producing that. That's a concern for me. I'm concerned how they're going to do that. But, I got Xfinity on CW, which is a channel I've never used before. You got the Amazon TNT.
I don't know if I have that channel. It's
a free app. It's a free app. So I'm pretty sure you can download the CW app and it's free and you don't have to worry about it. But it's an over the air TV channel. You would get it with rabbit ears. So it's not a big deal. I mean, you're old enough to remember rabbit ears. I don't know if
do they still work. I don't think they still work.
Yes, my dad has one.
Plug a rabbit ear.
He gave me this little thing that was $10, and I get 50 channels.
Yeah, that's a digital one, ain't it? I don't think that's.
But it'll work. Right. It's the same concept. But
these come with that internally now, I think. But
they do. They do, but I don't know. Up there in Michigan, you're in like 1972 anyway, so Southern Canada.
You got anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this
No,
bitch up? Nothing
no.
else? You
I
good?
should have had our graphic for the other show ready, but we'll just remind everyone we get the new show. We'll be first race will be Daytona 500. I don't know what time. Do you have a time? 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock?
I would say 11. Yeah, I would say
Okay,
11
11.
o'clock. We haven't paid the time, but I would think 11 o'clock. Race normally starts about 3:30, right? And 500
Yeah.
somewhere around there. So yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do our shows around the 11 o'clock. We'll preview all the races. We're gonna start with Daytona 500. Hopefully that'll be a big race and somebody we know will win $1 million. That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
I'm really excited to have some fun with this year and things like that. So hopefully everyone will check out that show with us and support and let you know that they don't want you to retire too much.
Yeah, I echo that, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to you guys joining us along. Don't come and join us. I think it's about every other Sunday, I think is the way it works out. It'd be every race, not every race day, every other race day. I'm trying to rerun this so you can have a pick, and I'm still doing a horrible job, right? But yeah, and we were going to teach you how to retire from NASCAR DFS and
How to retire from NASCAR DFS.
How you do that is by bringing on somebody who knows what they're doing and just picking their brain. So that's what we're going to do.
Perfect. Quick plugs, I guess, and let's get out of here. I will, of course, have complete content on every racing DFS slate for the year, Trucks, Xfinity, Cup, F1. I know your favorite thing. Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. You don't even know what I just said. Super excited about that. So definitely check us out over there for the premium content. I calculated it, and I should be doing about 500,000 words in written content this year, which is a lot. But excited about it. We had a phenomenal year last year. I mean, a fantastic year. You can go to the testimonials and see that. I do not put my own on there. So when you look at my testimonials, it's the people that sign up and then win with us. So I don't believe in promoting what I do. I want this to show you what I can do for you, right? So check out our testimonials. Lots of big wins last year, including Daytona. We had 3 different members score like $5,000 paydays. And I want it to be $1 million this year. We're shooting for that $1 million, but if we can walk out of Daytona winning $5K, that's pretty good too. So definitely check us out. Check out Jason on all his oh, no, he doesn't do anything else.
I have nothing to plug anymore, right? That's crazy. I don't have anything to plug. Don't
follow him on Twitter.
You can follow me on Twitter for my no content. I read my calculation as well, Larkin, and I calculated that I'm going to write 0 words this season for content wise. So yeah, that'll be fun. You guys can follow me. You can follow me for, check out what kind of fish I've caught or like if I got that turkey gobbler. But otherwise, you'll find me here talking NASCAR with Larkin and trying to cram my lineups in on Sunday. And, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And hopefully I'm the one winning $1 million and I can actually fucking retire and it can just disappear off.
That's the key to the show. How to retire from NASCAR DFS, win $1 million.
That would be like the best. Like, wouldn't that be the best way to show? Like, let's say we launch a show. We launch a show. How to retire from NASCAR DFS. We do 1 episode. I win $1 million and we just shut the fucking thing down. Like, it would be like the most epic thing to ever happen in NASCAR in any DFS, right? Like, we would be legends. So
that would be great.
Make it happen.
Can I get a cut
for me? I'll give you like 10 grand or something like that.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, that'll do it. Before you go, subscribe to the channel for us so you're here for the rest of the shows. Hit a like, drop something in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are on the new year, who you're liking with new teams. I know we ran through the changes there. So who do you like? Who do you think will be good? Who do you think will suck? Am I an idiot? Is Jason smart? Whatever. Let us know. I appreciate you guys checking out the show, and we will see you in a couple weeks. See you guys.
All right. Good. Yeah, I did.